For the first time in 2024, the Champ Car World Series takes on a short oval in the form of the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Welcome to Loudon live on ABN Esports. This is the New Hampshire 140 laps, 140 miles of racing, and we've once again returned to the northeast of the United States for a track unlike any other. We've seen quite a few intermediate ovals so far this season, some twists and turns with road courses, and now an opportunity to take on a very unique circuit. Right now, practice on the move with 5 minutes remaining, and we welcome you all back on this lovely Wednesday night. I'm David Kreutz, your producer and commentator, alongside Olivia, Hayward, and Taylor Mills. Drivers are on the circuit right now, taking their practice laps, of course, and a lot of time to still prepare with 10 extra minutes in qualifying immediately after. And so far, it's going to be Sophie Connell at the top of the board with a 21.525. Very small track relative to the other ovals, and a very quick track for that matter. We're expecting to see those times stay quick all night long. Strategy going to be once again a big deal, and after Las Vegas, where so many drivers had such trouble, I think it's going to be a much different approach tonight. Not only, of course, to avoid the wreckage, but also to take into account how different this track is from the other ovals, as we previously mentioned now. We're just a few moments away from qualifying here. Most drivers have gotten at least one lap in qualifying. So with that being said, what should we look forward to here when it comes to Loudon, New Hampshire, and the oval circuit we're ready to take on?
I think this is going to be a really technical challenge for these drivers. I think that's a key thing to watch out for. The short oval package that we've seen for the first time this season for this car, run all tracks under 1.4 miles, 1.3 miles, and much more akin to the road course package that we've seen at Watkins Glen and at Charlotte Roval. And so I think that road course experience will pay off. You've got some very flat corners, and you've still got to use those oval chops to carry the speed and find the right line in clean air, but I think the drivers who are the best all-rounders in this car, really, who know how to run both large ovals and road courses, are really going to rise to the top here in this sort of mixed challenge.
Yeah, this track's certainly a lot different to the ovals that we've been to before. Of course, we've already done Las Vegas Motor Speedway and Texas Motor Speedway. The main difference being there, you're not so much racing the track, as the track itself is quite easy. You're racing the pack. There's lots of slipstream, lots of draft down the straights to keep everyone nice and close together. But a New Hampshire Motor Speedway, you're burning off that right front tire all the time, managing a change of balance in the car every single lap that you turn. And it's going to be the drivers that can look after that front right and use their tools to try and find any ounce of grip they can around the racetrack tonight.
Drivers right now taking it up through the multiple grooves. We're watching Mo Perry in particular taking it a bit high through the corner. We're seeing everyone from the top side all the way down to the apron. However, that's one thing we first have to preface before the night gets going. You can see right now drivers are taking it top. That is completely allowed. However, when it comes down to using the apron, with the exception of qualifying, where it's of course tricky to enforce, it's not going to be the bottom side below that yellow line allowed or eligible for drivers tonight. So we've seen in races and other disciplines of course, motorsport, you can try to go down there. Not going to be the case tonight. And there's not a lot of banking to rely on to begin with, so every little inch that you can get to surpass another driver and cut the distance, it's a huge deal. So it's critical, of course, for these drivers now to use the track they have. As you can see, a multi-car battle just behind us. Zach McBride in the pit road, Edson Santos on the way, and Mo Perry going to be a driver who's battling high. You can see many drivers here already on pit road. The entire field is spread apart by about 0.8 of a second, so overall, not a major spread for these drivers. They all seem to be relatively confident in their equipment and their pace. One set of tire, of course. We're not going to be seeing the alternates of the road courses, so we won't be seeing too many major differences in that regard. But when we touched upon tires before the race got going, conservation is a word we threw around. You have to, of course, manage the limits, and we should elaborate upon that, of course. We're just a few moments away from qualifying, but tire conservation, let's talk a bit more about that here as we move on to our next session.
Yeah, so the main thing to focus on is that right front tire. That's obviously the tire that's under load as you turn into the corner and hold that angle. and so there's a lot of load that goes into that right front tyre. The problem is, as it wears and as it loses grip, if it starts to slide up the track, you miss the turn in, you can't hold the low line the way you want to, and you just lose a ton of lap time. The way to avoid that is to try and rely on maybe the right rear of the car to help and set the car a bit looser so the car rotates itself a bit more. You don't have to force it into the corner. You can do that with the roll bars and the weight jacker. And in this case, you might be tapping the brake a little bit into the corners, and so moving the brake bias further back can also help set the car in using those rear tyres. The issue is, the more you try and do that, the more risk you have of spinning out, which is a very quick way to end your day with how close the balls are here. So it's a balancing act, but the drivers who can keep the car on that balance and preserve that right front as much as they can without putting it in jeopardy, they're the ones that are going to rise to the front of the field as the race progresses.
Yeah, I think we're going to be touching on it a lot tonight. It's going to be about the drivers that can handle the oversteer in this car. Obviously, you don't want to burn off any of the rear tyres too much, because then you're just going to get an oversteery car, which is possibly a lot riskier than an understeery car, as Josh Gamer goes to the top of the 22.1. As soon as that back end comes around, you've got absolutely no time to sort the car out and try and save it.
Coming across the line, Sophie Connell, quickest in practice, is going to be second on the qualifying charts. We're looking at telemetry right now, and we even mentioned some drivers might be using the brakes. I don't quite think that's the case here in qualifying, but those long runs are going to be a different attitude. You can see the apron now being used there all the way down to the bottom side, and Connell going to come across the line, done with the qualifying run. That's not the case. Everyone has 4 laps tonight. Joshua Gaiman going to drop to the top of the board. That's going to be a 21.544, quickest time for our winner of the Season 4 event at this circuit. Keeping in mind, this track has been seen twice before on the ABN Champ Car schedule, Season 2 and Season 4. Looks like right now, Gaiman, who is the defending winner in Loudon, is at the top of the chart with a 21.409. Sophie Connell going to be second, and Mo Perry now in third. At the line, looks like Joshua's ended his run. 10 drivers have taken times, making it 14 now. Sasek is done. Lilac Zier is still going, and the spread still very close. Matter of fact, everyone now separate by only 0.4 of a second, going back to a 21.8 from Emily Howe. Everyone looks to be very close on pace tonight, but with the nature of this circuit, I'm not quite sure how that's going to translate into the race. Not as much room to make aggressive maneuvers, much like we saw at Las Vegas, which might mean we don't see as catastrophic a wreck as we did last week. But with everyone so quick, what's it going to take for these drivers to pass? I think that's already a question opening up in these drivers' minds. Lilac Zier at the line is going to improve just slightly. Not going to be enough to gain a spot, though, as we're waiting on a few more drivers to take times. Hamilton Akabwezi, who got it done in, of course, last week's event in Sin City, coming back after heartbreak in Texas, has returned to the track, and we discussed a manual disconnection there, hardware failures. We've seen some troubles before from this team. Looks like for the time being, doesn't have any problems, and will keep on going.
We've seen him quite early in the session here. Quite often we've seen Talent Attribution and a couple of the other sort of more notable drivers in the scene take a very patient approach, try and set up the car perfectly, get temperatures in the tyres and the engine just right, and then commit to one flying lap. It seems like that might not be as much of the case. Got out a bit earlier and currently only 10th fastest, but still 2 more laps to go. Could be winding up for something special on lap 4. We'll have to wait and see.
Coming across the line now for Hamilton, it's going to be 10th on the first lap, and now moving on, it looks like it's going to be 21.81 at the line. Still going to be good for 10th for now. On to the final lap this time by for this crew. It's going to be up to the top. Austin Farr, who we didn't see last week. However, in his last 2 starts, 2 consecutive victories. Coming through this time by another lap here for the number 7. And it looks like that's going to be jump up a few tenths of a second. Good for what looks to be 11th at the stripe. Austin Farr is still going here. And for the driver who's coming off 2 wins in his previous 2 starts, not bad at all to be up in the front row.
It's quite surprising just just trying to watch the world feed here from New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Just watching how fast these cars are around the corners. It's like they don't have huge amounts of aero as they do on a road course, but they're still generating quite a lot because of the speeds that they're carrying, and they still look so nippy around this track. But obviously that's due to the fact it's quite a short oval, but it's still really exciting to see already. And we're gonna have like a pack of over 20 cars zip around this super duper short oval, almost nose to tail, trying to find clean air, hopefully fighting each other, and we're in for a little bit of excitement here tonight, I think.
And
So just to issue a quick correction, we did see Austin Farr at the start of the race last week at Las Vegas, but unfortunately in the bid one that we had at around lap 25, lap 30, was one of the many cars collected and did not make it to the end of that race. I'm sure, along with a fair few other drivers in this one, going to be looking to take things on another footing here and try and come back, as Christina Ryan now coming through her final laps, and not the best time from our Season 2 world champion. Hopped into the session quite late and is only able to pick up 17th, but do watch out for her. She's got a lot of experience in these cars, and with 140 laps ahead of us, can definitely expect to see her cutting through the field as the race goes on.
Ryan dropping in right now to pit road, and you see 17th on the board. Eli Sastek is also on the track in 19th. With 3 minutes remaining, we are still waiting for two drivers to take times in Zach McBride and Tommy Withers. McBride is on pit road, and Tommy Withers is not, so with that being said, 21 times, most of our grid is already put together, and a few drivers might be a little more of a surprise than others. Overall, though, we got a pretty good understanding of what we're looking at coming in this time by. Of course, a few minutes away from our starting grid. Most drivers have put themselves on the board for qualifying, so I'd have to ask, we're a few moments away from getting things through. However, when it comes to the broadcast booth, we do have some past experience at this track going back to our inaugural trip here in Season 2. So how about we hear a little bit more about that first-hand experience before drivers head in for the third ever trip to Loudon in this championship.
I mean, the most important thing around here is preserving that right front. You can set a very good lap in the first few laps of the stint, but I think this qualifying order could be quite deceptive. You'll start to see an ebb and flow, maybe from even lap 10, of which drivers you can see are able to look after their machinery and which ones are burning it up too quickly, falling back through the order as the stint goes on. And yeah, it's preserving your tires and just staying out of trouble. Try not to fight people too close in the early running, because while we're not likely to see any huge incidents like we did last week, you can definitely tangle up with someone trying to run too close in the corner, and the walls are very close. There's no fast pairs anymore. There used to be back in Seasons 1 and 2, but that's now gone. And so if you race too close on lap 20 and end up in the wall for it, that's your day done. You have to come back next week at Richmond.
So before the race does kick off here, whilst we've got a couple of minutes left in qualifying, as per usual, I'm going to kick off the picks. Not kick off the picks, but kick off the picks conversation. Olivia?
Come back to me. I'm still thinking about it. I need to work out who I'm willing to curse, because that seems to be what's been happening lately.
Well, David, looks like you're going first this time.
I locked this driver in the middle of practice. Didn't have really an impressive lap there, but it's going to seem a bit cliche to go for your pole sitter, but I felt this going in with the knowledge. I'm thinking the number 61 of Joshua Gaiman. I felt that way previously. We just have to get that out there, but I still think there's a really good chance for that defense, and especially with the pole position, no better place to start.
No, I feel that. I get that. So tonight I'm going to go with, where is it? I've written it down somewhere. There. I'm going to go with Austin Farr. So he's proven that he's good with tyre management. We saw how much he dominated in Charlotte. And of course he can manage, dirty air pack racing as well. Because he was really, really quick in Texas. Obviously he took the win due to a post-race penalty, but he was up there in the top 3 all race long. So I think if anyone can take that lead away from Josh Gaiman early on, it's going to be Austin Farr. Olivia?
I think I'm going to go with Seth Wansing here. A driver coming over from our stock car programs here on ABN. A little bit new to this car, but I has put it on the second row of the grid in qualifying, and I think this style of racing is going to benefit those drivers who are experienced in the stock cars, maybe intermediates. It's a similar sort of corner approach, and so preserving that right front is already an instinct. It's just about how you can use the tools to benefit you with that. But I think we could see an impressive result from Seth Wansing.
Drivers to look out for tonight, and tell you this much, all of our picks, they're all starting inside the top 4. The only driver in that little mix that we didn't pick is Mo Perry, who's starting in 3rd, just in the midst of the podium. With that being said, though, we got many drivers besides the top 4 to discuss, so how about we take a look from top to bottom. At the top of the board, Joshua Gaiman, your Season 4 winner, going to be up and ahead, and it's going to be Austin Farr coming back, of course, Las Vegas. Not the best night for that 52 team, but returning now with an opportunity to chase the checkered flag for the 3rd time. The gap between your 2 drivers in the front row, 9/100ths of a second. Then from there, it's going to be Mo Perry, who's in 3rd, and Seth Wensing, who's in 4th, and round out in the top 5, Carmen Sienna and Emily Howe, position number 6. Fastest then in practice, it's going to be Sophie Connell, who lines up in 7th. Alex Miller is going to be 8th, and 9th spot is then going to go to the driver, the 89, and Lilac Zier. And then from there, Alex Martin rounding out the top 10 with a 21.56.
Last week's winner, Hamilton Attribusi, rolls off 11th for tonight's race with Bryce Saucier alongside. Bruce Silver and Parker Alexander rounding out the 21.6s on your 7th row of the grid. Emma Kruder finished on the podium here in Season 2. Boy Blousby alongside them on the 8th row. Christina Ryan also on the podium in that race, twice in 2 starts here. Nicholas Pressey alongside on the 9th row. Eli Sasek and Edson Santos ran at your top 20, with Ruby Estes, your final driver, setting a qualifying time. Behind them, it'll be Zach McBride, Selena Thompson, and Tommy Withers, rounding out your field of 24 cars here in New Hampshire.
And looking at the starting grid, getting on their way, going to be 2 laps of pacing. It looks like an extra here because this is an under mile-and-a-half oval. So it's going to be something you sometimes see at a very short track. I think we're going to see it at Richmond by default. And we mentioned this is a bit of a short track swing for the Champ Car World Series here. Starting off here in Loudon, which is a 1-mile track, still short and quick. Then we move on to Richmond, and that's always an exciting track no matter what type of car you bring to it. With these Champ Cars, I think it's going to be even more so. But tonight, Joshua Gaiman, a driver who didn't have a bad race in Las Vegas, was 30 laps down, but that doesn't really tell the story. Wasn't involved in any incident, simply joined late and ended up picking up more than half the field at the end of it all just by avoiding that big one, which is such a catastrophe for the entire field. Tonight, though, a chance to show the real pace inside that W Energy number 61. Already your leader, of course, having that pole position, and Austin Farr, a winner before. Maybe there's a chance to do it again. Familiar faces up in front, I'll say that much. Maybe we can expect some more from some drivers we haven't seen too much of. I mean, Seth Wensing, we mentioned, going to be a pick here in 4th. Then from there, a few drivers who still haven't gotten wins, and we're also looking for some good runs just beyond the top 5.
Yeah, Seth Wensing showing his aggression last week in Las Vegas. Hoping he might be able to pull some off again, hound the leaders for some positions early on, but we're not going to have to wait long to find out. Also, David, there was a small missed opportunity with the Leadpool racing car of Austin Farr. Those guys have recently just restructured or organised the team a little bit, and have called that oval division flag fetchers. So you missed the opportunity to say that Austin's going to go fetching that flag.
Well, we didn't know that, did we?
I don't think we did.
I followed them on Twitter.
Oh, that makes sense now. With that being said, and the pun out the way, time to see who will fetch the flag, no matter if it's for the team or otherwise. Joshua Gaiman going to be the driver who leads the way here. The pace car is down and in, and we're set to go racing in the Magic Mile. Green flags out for Joshua Gaiman. Welcome back to Loudon. The 61 leads into the first turn.
Oh, and already contact in turn 4, more contact. Car up into the wall. That might have been Emily Howe, and stacked up a lot of the field. Everyone's fighting for lanes, fighting for clean air, and it's already getting very sketchy here. But it seems like everyone is still rolling as we head into 3 and 4 for the second time in tonight's race.
Yeah, lots of drivers, they're already making use of that high line. One car in the wall.
And that is Mo Perry, I believe, and there's a lot of cars collected in the back here, just as the track funnels in on the exit of 4. Very unfortunate. It looks like that is going to be a very early end and another unfortunate finish for Mo Perry, who has yet to record a top 15 finish, and that streak is going to continue. Big mess early on in tonight's race.
We're taking an immediate look here. Let's find out.
Yeah, it's easy enough to do. We've got so many cars throwing up so much dirty air. Everyone's running that high side as well. If you get a little bit of turbulent air on your front wing, it is going to... Oh, it's contact as well in the final corner that causes it. Yeah, just the ping-pong effects off both of the walls. Bounces off the wall twice before collecting 2 more cars on the high side. Not much could have been done there, just some early unfortunate contacts in this race. But it is going to provide an opportunity for some cars to come down onto pit lane and grab some fresh tyres. Of course, we've only got, I believe it's 5 sets total in our oval races.
6 total, 5 extra sets in the pits.
Yeah, so 6 total sets, 5 extra in the pits. Some drivers may take the opportunity to come down and grab a set early because those tyres do burn off quite quickly. As well as other drivers we've got coming down to take repairs. But something to keep an eye on, because those that just pitted to maybe replace the front wing and take some fresh tyres are going to come up through the field a little bit in this next stint.
I think it's too early to take the tyres. I think people are just coming for repairs. We have 3 cars with meatballs. Nicholas Pressy's already out of the session and done for the day. And then Mo Perry and Bobby Blowers getting the worst of that incident. You need to stop letting me give pits, because that was contact with Seth Wansing on lap 2.
And it's championship implications this early in the race, because of course Nicholas Pressy's our championship leader.
Of course.
And Pressy's down and out, and we're looking at Mo Perry there also on the screen. Destruction. One driver who's going to get lucky is Tommy Withers. It looks like Withers just joined the session once again and might be able to join only about 5-6 laps down. If you're looking now, Withers is not yet with us, but he joined in the middle of that wreck, so maybe an opportunity for him to take up some spots as the race progresses here and get back with the field. 5 laps in this time by, and we're going to be coming with 1 lap to green. Going to be a single file restart, so hopefully we can avoid the trouble. I don't know if it's going to be realistic now, but already some decimation, and you saw how bad it was for Perry, and that was in the back of the field eventually where he got that final contact. Hopefully we don't see a track blocker here as Joshua Gaiman is set to lead the field back in. Carmen Sienna jumps up into 3rd. Your biggest mover so far, Emma Kruger, from 15th up to 6th, a big gain, and going to go from just within the top 15 to just outside the top 5.
Oh, checkups already. I was thinking of bringing it up. We had some issues with it back in season 2, and it's reared its head again. Some drivers just going on the green flag signal. You've got to wait for the car ahead, and that is a couple more drivers out of this race. Edson Santos, Justina Ryan, Bryce Sosia, all with additional meatball flags, and I'm sure a couple others catching some damage in the wreckage of that as well.
And we're looking at how bad it was. Christina Ryan, perhaps, where it kicked off. So we're going to take a look one more time and try to figure things out once again. Going to put the frames, of course, of the footage back up to just out of turn 4. Looks like Ryan going to get destroyed. And already a lot of drivers facing big trouble. And it's another incident here. Stacked up, as you mentioned, and Bryce Saucier, and ends up eventually hitting the wall. Takes Ryan there with, and just like that, Edson Santos going to plow too. Bad news very, very early.
Yeah, we already know that track position is king here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. So a lot of drivers just trying to do what they can to maximize their start. It's causing checkups up and down the field, early jumps. You got guys who are going and then having to stop because they're about to hit someone in front of them. But then other cars behind them have already reacted to them going and have then got to react to them stopping again. The rule of thumb is go when the car in front goes. Don't try and game the system, because if you do, you're going to lose.
Well, I mean, even then, the truth is, I mean, if you've been in motorway traffic and you've had these bits of congestion, you'll know how it is. Someone can make a mistake half a mile ahead and you're feeling the repercussions of it. So in a situation like this, often the cars a fair few behind the one who jumps the start that end up being where the wave sort of crashes. And yeah, 3 more cars already with heavy damage early. And it looks like Christina Ryan is out of the car and out of the race. We'll have to see if any of the others can keep rolling, but that is our field now cut down pretty substantially after just a few laps run.
Olivia, I'm actually kind of impressed that you managed to make a reference to traffic theory in the middle of all of this.
I mean, it seems like the most... that's what's happening. I mean, this is... They're running, what, 50 mile an hour? This is motorway traffic speeds.
It never looks like it, though. That's the thing that always strikes me. We're so used to these cars going so fast. They're rolling around at speeds quicker than most of us do on a day-to-day basis. And it looks like they're going absolutely nowhere.
Very, very angry at the pace car driver, if I know anything about open-wheel drivers.
Hey, listen, the pace car driver's gone through some extra training in the last couple of weeks. They know how to drive that car a lot safer now.
Yeah, and we found out his name as well. His Fred,
I forgot what it
to go
is.
along with Barney, the flagman.
We've got a nice in-car camera on Fred as well. Fred, wave hello. I don't think Fred can hear us.
I can't believe iRacing has cameras set up for the pace car. That's amazing.
Well, we've got eyes on it right now when it comes to Fred, and this one's going to be a little bit of a personal anecdote. On the iRacing channel, on their Twitch, I was producing an event just about a week ago on a Friday night, and we had the Fred camera set up because we were talking about Fred. Now, do you two know where the name Fred comes from in regards to iRacing lore?
I'd love to know.
So, when we go back to the history of iRacing, Papyrus with NASCAR Racing 2003, of course, other series of racing, Grand Prix Legends, the name Fred Jones was used commonly as a sort of pseudonym for the Papyrus car, which was the effective default when you started racing in these events, particularly in the later NASCAR stuff. So, what's assumed is that Fred here is basically Fred Jones from the older games, and now a chance to go through every race.
Like a Burt Mylander, former race car driver, now pace car driver.
That's the coolest thing I've ever seen.
As Fred is about to take a hard left into pit road here, we're going to restart coming to lap 11, 10 laps down, and already a few cars as well. We're green again in New Hampshire. And it looks like everyone being a little bit more careful on this start, getting strung out. Emily Howe nearly catching the back of the field at the wrong time, but everyone is through into turn 1. And we're racing again. Oh, and Eli Sassett struggling, I think was one of the drivers caught up in some of those early incidents, has gotten the car back out on track, but it's certainly fighting the handling on this thing. Remember, with these cars, a lot of the damage if you pick up, it can be unrepairable, so you can replace a front wing, you can replace a rear wing, but if the suspension rods are bent in a certain way, you're going to have to manage that instability for the rest of the race, and we have a long way to go in this one. Over 125 miles left in this event as Joshua Gaiman shows the importance of a good qualifying effort, started on pole, still there, all the instance behind, cannot touch him, and will lead the field again as we are side by side for P4. Emma Kruger and Seth Wansing going to slot back in again. That high side is going to have a bit of a run on the exit of the corner, and you can see that there. Now Emma Kruger looking towards it, trying to get a cut back on Seth Wansing here, to cut back through the field. Emma already up 10 positions. That's that road course experience coming in handy, and the yellow is out.
And looking further back to find out why Eli Sassett is the cause, and we saw trouble brewing for this number 9, and your third yellow of the day so early. We're getting another. This is an instant replay to show you what happened. I don't think Sassett could hold on any longer, and it's going to show the manifestation of all that damage with the suspension. Here's a look one more time.
Yeah, just the car is, just carrying some damage as he was complaining about, and just lets go on him in the middle of the corner. single car crash all on his own, but the fact that he was stationary on what people are using as the racing line tonight, driving backwards, spinning it round again, getting the car stationary again, that's more than enough to call a caution.
Yeah, it was definitely tried it out of everyone's way, but I think probably a hit to the rear end in one of the previous incidents. If it's the front, the car will just plow forever and you'll burn the right front immediately. Damage to the rear is more likely to have that skatiness, where the tyres just can't grip up, and he tried as much as he could there, but that will be the end of Eli Sassett's day. Will likely be classified down in 17th unless other drivers behind can get back out onto the track.
As frustrating as it may be to be under caution once again, thankfully, not wanting to jinx it, it looks like our drivers have figured out how to do restarts now. Typically, you do get that first single file restart where everyone tries to jump the gun a little bit, and they make that mistake that causes the re-caution. You know, cautions breed cautions, as they always say in sports car racing and NASCAR. But they learn after the first time and are usually on it for the rest of the race. Fingers crossed. I'm really hoping I haven't jinxed that.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate sometimes you have to have that one learning moment, because I mean, you've got some veterans like Christina Ryan was here in season 2 when we had some of these issues rear their head in that race. Already has learned that lesson, but when you are a few cars behind the checkup, you don't have much. There's nothing much you can do, and just heavy damage for reasons outside of your control. Very frustrating, and the nature of these cars, they are fragile. But yeah, hopefully we can clean things up from here on out. We are still 2 to green. We had Bobby Blowers get given a lap back. Of course, we run more oval style rules for caution procedure. We do have the lucky dog in effect as well as the wave around. So Bobby Blowers, who was 6 laps down after taking early repairs, has gotten one of those back, and with 5 more cautions, could be fighting back for the lead lap here.
Taking a look there at the 34, Blowers, one of the many drivers now at least 1 lap down. Eli Sassig is 3 down, but I don't think that's going to get any better because Sassig disconnected. There's also Christina Ryan, who just reconnected, Bryce Saucier, Edson Santos, Mo Perry, and Nicholas Pressey. Interesting to note, we saw Tommy Withers pop in on the naming structure here on our timing pylon. Doesn't look like there's anything that indicates Withers will be racing after all is said and done, so looks like a bit of a false alarm perhaps in that regard. So with that being said, 16 drivers on the lead lap. Emily Howe still with us, almost went 1 lap down, but he's back together again. The entire field is, and it looks like Emily Howe, she's there too. Joshua Gaiman's field is constructed once more for a single file restart, and that number 61, dominant to this point, qualifying proving to be oh so important. I don't think we've seen much of a difference as it stands. We're going to get going again, and maybe Austin Farr has a chance to jump the restart, but we saw the consequences before. I think the front runners are going to be more cautious than anyone else, especially with so many cautions stacked up again and again.
Well, Austin Farr's got the best seat in the house, really, for this one. Can just go as soon as he sees that rear diffuser of Josh Gaiman take off. And as they enter the Geico restart zone, that'll happen immediately. And you see, right on the jump, knowing to hold tight, to try and get a move, maybe coming into turns 3 and 4. And the rest of the field has gotten going as well. Nice and clean. But up at the front, Josh Gaiman is pulling the gap already. And actually, it's Carmen Sienna who's putting Austin Farr under threat. And nearly contact in turn 3 there. We've not had enough green flag laps to really see the tyre fall off, but...
Oh, Emma Kruger into the wall there. Sorry, Olivia, just cut you off there. Emma Kruger's trying to make a move on the car in front of her, just catching the wall on the outside. I think she's carrying a little bit of front wing damage though, but it was good job, good going from her for that not to be any worse.
Yeah, it's a little bit scuffed up, but still in decent shape maybe. No meatball being given to the 70 crew, so will be a bit of a recovery effort to try and keep this in one piece and on the lead lap until the caution, and then have the crew come check it out. But for now, still running in the 6th position, now down to 7th as Sophie Connell makes the move back up into 6th spot.
Sophie Connell, of course, has been one of our biggest movers in this season so far, going up at least double digits in every race she hasn't crashed out of. Looking to try and get another decent result today. A couple of recovery drives from her so far, as we've seen. Not going too bad for him so far. The 69 car now in 6th position, and very quickly closing in on our previous race winner, Hamilton Akabusi.
Yeah, Akabusi qualified back down in P11. Sort of an uncharacteristic effort from him, but has slowly been working his way forward. Now on the back of Seth Bonson and firing it all the way to the high side, trying to build that run. And yeah, already 23 laps in, maybe 10 laps under green, you're starting to see some of these drivers who have a lot of experience starting to work that air, try and find a clean lane, as Carmen Sienna are going to check these two up. Very close into turn 1 here, and Akabusi gets stuck on the wrong lane behind Carmen Sienna. Seth Bonzing cuts through into third, and now number 7 will try and follow suit.
Carmen going to defend on Hamilton still, but you see there, Seth Wanson gets by at the line. This is the closest battle by a wide margin, of course, and you see these drivers nearly 3 wide going for third. It looks like now Hamilton has a chance down low. Carmen Sienna remains top as it stands. Still not going to be much of a difference as they go once again single file. Once more, we've seen them a bit more spread out on every restart, and that's continuing to grow these gaps. Drivers running at their own pace and seeing the troubles of previous laps. Selena Thompson is slightly in the wall there, but overall, not seeing as much overbearing driving in terms of aggression, and that's going to be something to keep an eye out for as you see Alex Miller running down the back straightaway side by side here with Bruce Silva and Lyle Exer looks to be in the mix. Alex Martin too coming right up. Looks like Miller nearly in the wall, and you can see nobody wants to make that contact knowing how it will be basically deadly to the cars they have. Seeing the experiences of drivers before, nothing you want to replicate here is once again single file back of the field. Looks like largely in the front, and Austin Farr slowly but surely putting a little more pressure back on to get back to the race leader.
Yeah, has just kept that gap close and close, and as Akabusi still fighting with Carmen Sienna behind, it looks like Austin Farr setting up a move on that long run, trying to look after the tyres a bit, but now might be the time to strike.
This is what I've been looking forward to all season. A nice flat oval with plenty of different lines for drivers to use. We got everyone all over the place. Sophie Connell been right down on the inside of the circuit as Alex Miller passes the damaged Emma Kruger, who's falling down the order at quite a rate of knots, now down to 8th position. But yeah, everyone's all over the place. High side, low side, looking after the tyres, being aggressive on the tyres. And this is exactly what I've been looking forward to all season.
Akabusi cannot make that low side work with Carmen Sienna on the outside. It's great if you're on your own, but you've kind of got a clear head. Akabusi might have managed it, but he's going to have to leave the lane for Sienna. Can't cut across the nose, and she gets the run back on the outside, but now they're side by side level into turn 3, and Sienna has the run on the outside.
Yeah,
it's so difficult to make that work when you have to leave that entire lane on entry and exit, and Carmen knows it. She's happy running the outside and defending P4 really well right now.
Yeah, that was it. That's what we were talking about. Seth Wansing was down on the inside. Hamilton Akabusi went to the inside and couldn't get the air on his nose to keep the position in front of Sienna. As exactly the same happens again. All the air being taken off Hamilton Akabusi's nose. Carmen Sienna just able to slingshot around the outside with the cleanest air you can ever imagine.
Like Miller and Emma Kruger still fighting, and oh! I think there might have been a little bit of net code there in turn 2. It sent Emma Kruger into the wall, and that looks like it could be heavy damage on the 70 car. Or maybe they've gotten away with that one. No, they're going to be coming into the pit lane here. And that is the unfortunate thing of running so close for so long in these cars. Just any sort of internet hiccup can cause issues. And Emma Kruger could be on next retirement, as now the crew being shown the meatball flag.
Kruger down in, only driver on pit road right now, and you mentioned such small contact can be such a big deal. The battle begins once again. We see Parker Alexander now with Ruby Estes, and they're going to be fighting for 9th as we speak. That's a very unfortunate one for Emma Kruger, who started in 15th, but not indicative of the early pace, and as such, Emma will disconnect and retire from this event. Ruby's going to go way top, all the while it looks like Parker Alexander gets in the wall himself. Another driver with trouble here, and the 45 definitely did not get away with that one.
Maybe. those square contacts, if you can manage to get the rear tyre to hit square and fairly soft, sometimes you can get away with it a little bit. You might have things be a little bit off, but generally it won't be a meatball maybe, as we did have the lap car of Bryce Socia getting out of the way for our leaders, and it's now a 3-car battle for P3. Carmen Sienna and Howard Hibisi close onto the back of Seth Wanzing as the battle for the lead is still going ahead as Seth Wanzing catches the ball on the exit of 4. You're starting to see those right front tyres give up and drivers try and force things to left 3 wide here. Howard Hibisi gonna have to back out of it and is now to try and hunt a way around Seth Wanzing, who I think is ailing after that wall hit. Gets to the outside, runs way up there to avoid Carmen Sturlier, and they will both file through. This is now a battle for the podium, and Hamilton's not done. Pete's to the inside again, but we've seen this so many times. Hamilton actually getting a good launch, Carmen maybe going for a crossover or choosing to just conserve for a little bit, and Hamilton made up 2 spots in as many laps, now up into the podium positions.
And all the while, Alex Miller in the background in P6 got past Sophie Connell in the last couple of laps. He's got tyres a few laps fresher than the cars in front of him, and he's trying to make the most of that at the moment. And those guys in front, fighting as hard as they are, is only going to help him. Alex Miller's been closing up by about half a second per lap on Seth Wanzing alone. And if these guys continue to fight, it's going to bring Alex Miller into the fight as well.
Bobby Blowers, another lapped car who's being filed through here by our leaders. The leaders are very close, now within 0.3 of a second, and Austin Farr maybe starting to sense weakness in Josh Damon's pace and wants by. Down to the bottom, but again we're seeing Josh Damon try and get the run on the exit and will hold on for now. But Austin Farr is putting the pressure on, trying to force a mistake as Parker Alexander came down pit road, maybe going to fix some damage that was caught in that wall here.
Austin Farr looking low once again, and you can see that top side now becoming the line of defense for the 61 of Joshua Gaiman. And here at New Hampshire, with such little banking, the real difference is the distance or the momentum. It's a pick and choose sort of battle, and right now Joshua knows exactly what he's got to work with, getting the run off the corner once again. Austin Farr looking down low, and the bottom groove deep once more for the 52 of Austin Farr, closest he's been to the race lead all night long at the line. A gap of only 118 thousandths of a second, within 1/10 as they go through the corners time and time again. The question really becomes, what can be done here if you're Austin Farr? Joshua Gaiman really working the air nicely, and it becomes such a challenge when you get stuck in that dirty air repeatedly. For about 20 laps, you can try to hold on, but the tires begin to shred, you're using up more of your fuel, and you end up working much harder than the driver that's defending, if they're defending properly, and it might not be enough. Right now, Austin Farr going to take it down the back straight. Still going to be clear. Joshua Gaiman is, not by much, lunging in a 3 and 4 all over again. Austin still can't get there. And Gaiman going to lead at the stripe. It's one thing to catch the driver ahead of you, but it's always a different animal when it comes to passing. With a lapper coming by and Selena Thompson, I think we're going to see a temporary halt. And maybe they're going to be getting back up to restart the battle, but you can see once again in orderly fashion as Joshua Gaiman prevails in round 1.
Yeah, we could have expected a little bit more aggression from Selena Thompson there, fighting to stay on the lead lap as opposed to all the other lappers who have been ailing from damage repairs early on in this race. But the size discretion's better part of Valor is still in that lucky dog position in the event of a caution. Or we could see these drivers make pit stops soon. We're on lap 46 and most of the cars in the top 10 did not take any stops under those first few cautions. We'd expect them to go maybe 10-15 laps at the most here with the caution extending the stint, but soon they're going to be coming down pit road, so now is the time to use that tyre if you've got it. And I think Austin Farr is trying to use every inch of rubber that he can to make this move before diving into pit road.
As we were distracted by the lead fight, Alex Miller has managed to catch up to and pass Seth Wanzing. Seth Wanzing, who currently holds the fastest lap of the race, has clearly been struggling to keep a hold of that front right because he is dropping off the back of that fight for the podium now. Alex Miller making all the progress he needs at the moment and is now only 5.5 seconds off the back of Carmen Sienna.
Yeah, I think had to hit for a front wind change very early in this race. Decided to take some new tires as well, and it's paying off right now. Climbing back through the field, and with how this green flag run has gone, we might not see drivers use all 6 steps, so he could be okay. As Selena Thompson catching the wall a little bit, and now is going to come down pit road with a meatball. A little too much to hold on to in the in that running there for Selena Thompson, and could be our next driver taking some extended repairs. Back up at the front, it's Seth Wansing and Sophie Connell battling for 6th place, and even further ahead, Austin Farr still right on the back of our race leader Josh Damon, who I believe has led all 50 laps to this point. 50 down, 90 to go for the number 61 car. Wow, and that was a close moment between Seth Wansing and Sophie Connell there. Both drivers making it out without too many issues, but we nearly had a caution to give everyone a chance to change tyres. The hand top off the 10th, but we stayed green, and the cycle is coming very soon.
Sophie Connell stays in it despite that very close moment. It's still going to be a gap of 2/10 here, so if anyone's going to look for the move, Sophie Connell still going to be the best driver eligible to do so. Seth Wansing right ahead, still holding on to 6th, but slowly but surely sliding back. And if Sophie Connell gets by, maybe Alex Martin has an opportunity. You'll see that number 92 working right up top and running down the front straightaway. Martin has slowly but surely gotten into battle himself. 22.287 that time by, which was 2/10 of a second quicker than the lap that Seth Wansing put down. However, just about dead even with Sophie Connell, and Sophie just got by. That's the move for the 6th position, and Seth is definitely waning back now. He's going to come down to pit road, as a matter of fact, and nearly lose it. Same goes with Ruby coming in this time by, and pit road is busy at lap number 53, expecting about a 2-stop strategy for the rest of the night as drivers make their way through.
Yeah, Sophie Connell losing positions earlier in this race. Perhaps not an error in burning off the tyres for them, but perhaps a strategic decision to look after that front right tyre a little bit more. Seth Wansing we saw burning off that front right more than everyone else. Sophie Connell able to take advantage of that and get themselves up a position as we are in the middle of the pit cycle now.
Austin Farr came down pit road that time by. Josh Damon responds this lap, but can Austin make that undercut work? We'll have the fresher tyres, of course. You're at risk of a caution trap mid-cycle and trapping you a lap down. But, oh no! And Josh Damon, our race leader, caught speeding on pit road, has been given a black flag and will lose a heap of time and give the lead over to Austin Farr by any guess. That is going to put Damon a lap down, maybe 2, after this cycle is done.
I think this is the first time I've had that real commentator's curse in regards to picks. That's a heartbreaker for the 61, down and in, caught speeding, and it looks like that result, of course, a response that will go unheard, which would give, effectively speaking, the lead right back up to Austin Farr if everything cycles out properly. Alex Miller now going to be scored as your leader. That, just like that, 7 drivers left on lead lap.
Almost that boost came out of pit road, and Lilac Zir and Sophie Connell trying to cut through here. Lilac Zir not taking a pit stop yet, but Sophie Connell, them both. They already have the tyres warm, and Hamilton's actually falling back a little bit, but now Sophie Connell comes into pit road, and I think the 7 has the tyres fired up again, and is ready to chase back after Austin Farr, who is now our race leader pending the pit stops from the front 5.
Miller comes across the line once again, leading by about 4 seconds here over Lilac Zir. Only 5 drivers remain, going back to Zach McBride, and it looks like McBride down on the bottom side might opt to pit this time through. Chooses not to instead, but going to keep a very low line here as those older tires getting worn out. Tire conservation going to be a big deal. We saw Seth Wansing fading back very far in that run alone, and now the drivers who are on the older set of rubber, they've got to consider when do they come down and in. Miller going to be working down the back straightaway with the lead, 1 lap ahead right now of Austin Farr. You see Joshua Gaiman back on the circuit, 3 laps down for Joshua, and Alex Miller comes down to pit road. That will leave Lilac Zir as the green flag leader, still waiting for a pit stop from Zir, Emily Howe, and Zach McBride. Your net race leader going to be Austin Farr when all is said and done.
Lilacs here and Emily Howe in a bit of a box seat at the moment because we're in the phase of the race where we could see some cautions. We've got a lot of guys on loads of different tyres of different ages, so they're going to be carrying different amounts of speed through all the corners and perhaps not anticipated correctly by the faster cars behind. It could cause a bit of a checkup, bit of a collision, and bring out the yellow flag, which is going to be a big help to some of our drivers that were involved in incidents early on. So keep your eyes peeled before the next round of pit stops happens.
And we know Lilac Zero especially loves these alternate strategies, trying something different to get through the field. Emily Howe's in, but Lilac Zero still running out here and has nearly a lap lead on the rest of the field. Does still have to stop, but as Austin Farr and Seth Wanzing are side by side ahead, Lilac is just praying for an incident to really give her a free ride into those top 3 spots.
Lilac Zero still remains on the track. Austin Farr is the only other driver on the lead lap right now. As you can see, both of them in the same frame. The rest of your field going to be, of course, caught at least one down. Hamilton Akabuezi's up into third, which is going to be net second when all this cycled through. And that's a gap of about 5 seconds, I'd say, to Austin Farr. So Hamilton has made up a lot of time on this pit cycle. And with that being said, maybe an opportunity to fight for the race lead if this run keeps going. Of course, heartbreak at Texas, and of course internet troubles with Charlotte and Homestead, of course, races to forget for this crew. Now a victory at Las Vegas and some momentum. Austin Farr, I think, is going to be the only driver, really another juggernaut in this series right now. Top 2 drivers on the board when Lilac Zero come in. It's going to be some familiar faces, and it looks like the 89 is through this time by down and into pit road. This will bring the field back to normal order. We'll have about 11 drivers on the lead lap as Austin Farr comes through this time by and will retake the race lead. Hamilton is about 1 second off. When we all come through this time by, it's going to be about a second flat between your first and second drivers.
Yeah, super impressive from all of our guys there during that off-cycle phase to get through everyone that needed to cleanly. Lilac Zero not quite getting that caution that she needed to try and bring it back into this, but of course Josh Gaiman taking that less than graceful step off the podium has opened up an extra little slot for someone else to step onto it, and we may see a fight emerge here between Carmen Sienna and Lilac Zero on much fresher rubber.
But first, Austin Farr being given a lot of trouble by Emily Howe, fighting to stay on the lead lap after making that late pit stop. Austin gonna do a little bit of a slide on the exit of turn 2 to clear Emily Howe, and that'll make it 9 cars on the lead lap. Bad news for another pick. This time it's mine, because of course it is. Seth Wanting had a slow pit stop, 14 seconds, probably taking a new front wing, and is now the second car a lap down. And unfortunately out of the lucky dodge spot now, with Emily Howe being swallowed up by Hamilton Akabuezi, who is going after Austin Farr, now within 6/10, getting through that traffic. I dealt with only 1 lap between these two. Carmen Sienna on a similar cycle. It's Alex Miller and Lilac Zero running 4th and 5th, who have slightly fresher tyres in this battle at the edge of the top 5. But they are much further away. They're more fighting to run away from Sophie Connell and the cars behind from P6 on back.
And we're looking now at Lilac Zero in particular. Sophie Connell is about 2 seconds away. That time by, Sophie Connell ran at 22.233, whereas Lilac Zero had 22.186. So Lilac was actually quicker that time by, and it looks like same goes for Alex Miller in the 22.2 range. So very similar lap times there. One battle that's really getting hot is going to be Alex Martin and Ruby Estes. Estes going to be going down to the bottom side. Alex Martin gets the run, and the number 92 gets the clearance off exit, makes the way back into the 7th spot. Ruby's still going to be staying very close, however, and these two drivers are separate. Now they're within a 10th. As you can see, your leading battle, Hamilton Akabuezi down to the bottom side. There goes Austin Farr up top, side by side. Farr continues defending and maintains the lead as we head now to 1 and 2 with lap traffic right ahead.
The infinite dance of the short track starts once again. Christina Ryan taking the topside air away from Austin Farr there as Akabuezi looking to the outside, trying to make a run work. Austin Farr responds by tightening his line to the inside and straightening up his run out of the corner. He's still going to have overlap on Akabuzi. We saw how deep he likes to send it in the corner to try and make something stick as he really passes Hamilton Akabuzi through turns 1 and 2. But Akabuzi is going to have the momentum off of turn 2, all the way down the back straight. Looks and dives to the inside once again. Austin Farr lets him go, focusing on exit. Builds loads of momentum and has plenty coming down the front stretch and retakes the lead once again.
Is this Pocono? We're seeing some expert swap drafting from these two. Going for crossover after crossover. Now Akabuzi has the nose to the inside, but only a front wheel overlap is going to go for it. But now he's going to have to leave the lane to the outside as cannot clear Austin Farr. And what a battle that is. Two juggernauts of the IR18 community running 1 and 2 and throwing haymakers as we pass the halfway point in this race.
I didn't hype up this style of racing enough. If we could pick any two drivers to be at the front of this field, having a fight like this, it would be these two. Consummate professionals. 12,600 I rating between them as Akabuzi dives to the inside again, but doesn't quite get the momentum he needs. This is brilliant racing.
And it's going to remain brilliant here as the drivers are stacked up first and second. Looking down to the bottom side, Hamilton really going to get comfortable looking low, but it's that run off the corner that makes all the difference. I think now for Hamilton, if he wants to get that race lead, you got to stay side by side through the front or back straightaway. That is the be-all, end-all right now, and it's so tricky the way that Austin Farr is defending. You look at him going all the way up top and getting that momentum, all the while Hamilton really has to compromise that exit off the corner, and that's been the biggest trouble, finding a way through despite the blockage in air. Maybe there's going to be a little bit more an opportunity to do so as the laps progress, but right now it's almost a stalemate as they come across the line time and time once more.
This is just fantastic. We're packed up 3 cars up ahead. 2 still fighting to stay on the lead lap. One of them 1 lap down, and they're going to be throwing a lot of air back here, even from that far ahead. Sort of when you get to within a second and a half, it starts to really affect the cars, and Akabuzi gets the run off in the mid-corner. Austin Farr to try and fight back, but can't get the dive and has to leave space. And Akabuzi now is ahead and cleanly ahead, and we have, I think we had some new leaders in that mid-phase, but we have a new permanent leader for now. Nearly contact as these lap cars are going to play a huge factor in the next few laps. Austin will try and use them as a pick to get back around.
We watched Austin Farr keep Hamilton Akabuzi pins to the inside line for 5 or so laps. We've got a little bit of a tyre differential between these guys at the moment, and we did see a little bit of a swap in the last couple of corners as Akabuzi managed to force Austin onto the inside line. But now these lapped cars kind of throwing a spanner into the works and making these guys have to pick different lines. So it's going to be interesting to see where these two come out of each other relative after we get through these cars.
We have a bit of latency from one of these cars in the pack, so there'll be a little bit of caution needed. Hopefully this driver is able to navigate this without too much issue as Akabuzi goes to the low side, leaving plenty of room. Austin Farr currently working on Alex Martin, who has just fallen 1 lap down, is your current lucky dog if you have a caution here. Now down to just 7 cars on the lead lap as the pace differential starts to magnify over, what is this, a 60 lap green flag run now? Those two are through by the look of things. Latency playing a factor further behind, but it's Akabuzi now with a bit of a breakaway, 6/10 from Austin Farr, and it's going to look to try and build that gap as we are starting to inch towards the pit cycle opening for the final time, and these drivers will be able to make their stop and go to the end. You probably want to undercut if you're willing to risk the possibility of a caution, because then you have the fresh tyres, you can get the track position, and as we've seen, it can be very difficult to make the move if the car ahead knows how to defend the corner.
Right now, Austin Farr going to be stuck about 4/10 behind. The difference in air was such a huge deal in regarding to that pass for the lead. Hamilton finally getting that room, and as such is your race leader for the first time tonight. It's going to be Austin Farr and Joshua Gaiman both dethroned, and the number 7 back out in front for what could be a second consecutive win. An interesting factor regarding the rest of this race is the tire strategy, and I have to agree, if you're Austin Farr in this circumstance, you need the tires to get back up there, and with time slowly but surely running out, you might just settle for worse tires in the very final laps to get the race lead back, given how challenging it will be to claw back here. However, with the dirty air, Farr is going to get within 2/10 very quickly in just one lap, and now is going to be right there with Ruby Estes, and just ahead, the number 17 is with another lapper, and that's going to be Joshua Gaiman, former leader as well. So now Hamilton facing trouble, coming through this time by first and second at the line, and now the lapper is going to play a big deal for the next few.
Lap traffic really wanting to hold on to that front right tyre. You see all of them heading to the right side. If you stay on the high side, you're having to turn the wheel a lot less, so that's a lot less tyre scrub on the front right. But what that's doing, that's forcing our lead 2 cars to go on the inside line and start to burn off their rubber. So we already know that Hamilton's been burning his tyres off on that low line so far, but Austin's still got plenty of rubber to play with. Is that going to be a factor come the end of the stint?
Could very well be, and this is the fact you have. We're getting to the phase of race where these lap cars are not slowpokes. They are very quick drivers. They're our former leader. Just one mistake on pit entry, and is now the next car to be caught by this lead duo. But he's not going to just roll over for these drivers. He knows that he wants to try and stay one down to maybe get back to the lead after some portions late in the race. He's going to do everything he can to hold that position, and if Attributes gets held up, that could open the door for Austin Farr to try and make a lunge back. The lap traffic and managing the air as important as ever in this sort of phase after a long green flag run. We'll have to see which of these two can manage it the best.
Right now, the gap is slightly extended again. Hamilton Akabuezi getting by, and Austin Farr slightly in the wall there. There's only 6 drivers on the lead lap, going back to Sophie Connell. It's a day of dominance for your race leaders, and after the first opening yellow flags, we've gotten in a really nice rhythm for this green flag stint. We're up to about 70-odd laps under green now, starting at about lap 18, and we've gone from there. Very nice performance all around for the field to get going, but once again, although not as apparent as Las Vegas, slowly but surely this race is really run down, and we've got very few real contenders. It's happened in a much different way, but I think we're seeing the phenomenon once again. What's it like for the drivers now, knowing that at any moment there's a chance to get off a cycle and having to keep yourself on your toes with so few people really up there on the leading strategy?
Yeah, with lap 96, I think the window is well and truly open. We'll have to see who blinks first of our lead cars. It seems like, is that Lilac Day making a call from this cycle or from the previous one? I can't quite tell. But yeah, that they can, with the lack of cars on the lead lap, there's a bit more room for them to make that early call, because if the caution does come out to take the wave around, there'll be a lot of cars taking it with them, and they won't actually be that far from whoever the leader ends up being. So now might be the time for maybe Austin Farr, if he can't quite close up in this phase of the race, can choose to take the battle in an alternate direction, take the hard left onto pit road, and fit some fresh tyres to the end of the race. Anyone who stops now will make it on fuel without too much concern.
Had a little bit of a fight emerging over these last few laps. Alex Martin and Bruce Silver were going at it a little bit, but a little bit of lap traffic getting involved with Bruce Silver's race has helped them drop back a little bit more towards Emily Howe. Emily Howe, who we know is recovering from a very early incident, but her pace has been electric in this last stint or so. Now only 1 second off the back of a potential P9. I hear pit calls.
Yeah, it started. The leaders still haven't blinked. But further down the field, the car's 1 lap down. They are making the calls early, and we'll have to see if this spooks the 7 or the 52 into making that call. And there it is, 52 on the radio, planning to pit now, and we'll have if you see lead the driver in. It looks like he will, and they'll both enter pit road at the same time, not wanting to go offset, and Atibusi nearly losing control of that car, getting down to pit road speed, and stays ahead of Austin Farr for the time being. Now it's a race of the crews. Inherits the race lead.
It's the most important pit battle of the night. Both drivers come in. You can see one on the way. Looks to be Carmen Sienna there. And now it's the top two making it around. Looks like Hamilton gonna get the jump, but just barely. They're gonna be side by side, but Austin has no choice but to let go and concede. Hamilton once again gonna have that race lead after they come out and cycle once more. At the line, Lilac Zier once again gets the overall lead, but you can see your top two. They're separated by about a tenth of a second. It's going to be very close here as they come across the line once again. The gap to Hamilton is going to be only now a total of 4/10 of a second, as it was before the pit stop.
And this is the crucial thing about the gap that they had to the cars behind. Lilac Zier holds the race lead, but Attribution and Austin Farr are not trapped a lap down. They are a few seconds ahead of Lilac Zier on the road, so if the caution came out now, they will be in the perfect position, treating it as more of a Pocono strategy, a road course strategy, because of that lead they've built. That gave them the flexibility to make an early call to try and do something on strategy, and they have. We got less than 40 laps to go in this race. A lot of the cars around them still have to make their starts, but they are good to the end, and this is now a duel, a dogfight between Austin Farr and Hamilton Attribution for the top step of the podium.
Looking now on board there with the number 52. The dogfight persists, but once again, Austin Farr not looking as sharp as he was prior to that initial pass, and I think that might have just knocked the wind in his sails, so to speak, and with less momentum, it's going to be so much more challenging to make that pass up. The gap is now 9/10 of a second back to Hamilton here, and I think it's only going to grow for the time being unless there's something that Austin Farr can pull to get that speed right back up. Sophie Connell, Alex Miller, and Lilac Zier remain on the circuit. Lilac is hoping to go long once again and maybe wait for a caution, however unlikely, and we might see pit stops conclude by about lap 115 at the rate we're going. Now Hamilton Akabuezi gonna lead again. You can see there Austin Farr, 5 drivers on the lead lap. The rest of the field gonna be one down or more. As a matter of fact, only 7 drivers within one lap. Then it's gonna be 2 laps down or more. A few drivers who have made some moves over the entirety of this run. Joshua Gaiman eventually getting back up into 12th. Seth Wensing is down into 11th. However, you see Emily Howe now going to be in 9th, Ruby Estes in 8th, and Carmen Sienna 7th as it stands. Maybe an opportunity to chase after Bruce Silva, but for the time being, not close to either of each other, and there's still going to be quite a distance here as your lap machines are still working around the leaders. The gap between your top two going to be just over a second as we come across the line again. Net leader still going to be Hamilton with Austin Farr chasing, and we're coming down to the final stretch here. 32 laps to go.
Sophie Connell comes into pit road and is caught speeding as well. Was running P3 in the cycle, but will now fall at least 2 laps down, serving the penalty. Second driver we've seen from the front of the field make that mistake today. It's a tricky pit road, and it seems like now Lilac Zier is gonna pit with 30 laps to go. He's not gonna try and trap the entire field a lap down, and a nice safe entry, holding on to the position she has, and that will hand lead up to Alex Miller for now, who I'm not sure if that's the first lap lead, but it certainly is a lap lead for the number 49 car. Just 2 cars will be on the lead lap now with Attribution far behind.
So for Alex Miller, that's going to be his 7th lap lead of 111 tonight. Miller, we haven't even discussed all too much despite leading multiple laps and coming around for his 8th this time by. He's gotten a few laps, he's snuck them in, but not all too many, so it's reasonable to assume he hasn't really been up there. However, he's running a solid race, all things considered, and might be a contender to stay on the lead lap, but with how many drivers there's coming around this time by, it's almost a bit of a hornet's nest down the back straightaway. It's not going to be easy. Christina Reinberg, Ruby Estes, all the while the big pack comes by and Alex Miller is in. This will give Hamilton the lead once again. It's the 7 who is set to go back on top.
I was Lilac Zier just ahead, managed to stay on the lead lap through that cycle despite my estimates, but Attribution now taking the race lead back, and Austin Farr is just being dropped. Alex Miller still on pit road, and it seems like Lilac Zir will come back onto the podium with those big overcuts paying dividends. Carmen Sienna still like about 5 seconds back from our 89 car. And that strategy gamble could be paying off even without the caution coming for the Gearcats crew. Jumped from 9th at the start of the race, playing very patiently as we often see from her. And now into the podium position with only 26 laps to go. Aki Busey takes the stripe once again.
A fantastic strategy call from Lilac Zir. It's just that extending those stints a little bit longer, it's something we talk about in endurance racing quite a lot. It just means you're taking on so much less fuel in that final stop than everyone. Lilac Zir gained 7 seconds on Carmen in that last pit stop. We think Carmen may have made perhaps a small error on pit entry, because that was a longer stop than pretty much everyone in the field, and it's really cost her. The gap's only 5 seconds though. It is surmountable. Traffic could play a part here, and a late caution, of course, could bring Carmen back into the conversation here. But for now, she's lost out to an amazing strategy call from Gearcats.
Yeah, and a spin coming across the line for Carmen Sienna was the issue. Didn't get caught speeding, was able to get back rolling down, but lost about 7 seconds on the entry to pit road. Clean stop after that, but that is what has dropped Sienna off the podium, and Lilac Zir is there to capitalise. Now just those 4 cars on the lead lap. Alex Miller has been cycled out 5 seconds behind Sienna, and is now running 1 lap down, with Emily Howe a further 13 back from them. We got a big breakaway for the top 5, but the top 2 especially. Austin Farr trying to make work through this traffic, but it's Helmut Busey setting sail with 22 laps to go. And once again, it seems like when a race goes his way, there's not much that anyone can do to challenge, though Austin Farr has given it every bit of effort that he has had so far, and I'm sure he's going to be looking to charge back through, maybe with some fresh tyres. We've been observing as we have a spin in the back, and that'll be a caution.
Sophie Connell looked to be that time around, and yes, it was. Rear end is gone. We have a caution with less than 20 to go, and we'll go back green.
Big questions being thrown up right now. Do you pit for fresh tyres? These drivers have still got plenty of fresh sets to go, but how many people are we going to see come down pit lane now? Alex Miller and Lilac Zir's tyres are still relatively fresh, so could it perhaps be worth the risk for them to stay out on the tyres they've got right now and leave Hamilton Akabazi, Austin Farr, Carmen Sienna and Emily Howe to fight it out on that fresher rubber?
There's 2 trains of thought here. One of them is that if you stay out, you can trap a lot of these cars a lap down and just give them no chance to compete. And there'd only be 5 left, but I think Akabusi and Farr especially are going to be looking at this and going, can we keep our fight going instead? There's only 4 cars lead lap right now. As everyone comes past pit lane, it seems like no one's taken the call yet. I'd imagine pit lane was open that time by, but it's just Carmen Sienna making the call. So the top 3 all staying out on their slightly older tyres, and we're going to restart with maybe 15 laps to go, maybe less than 20 for sure. But you've got to think that's enough time for Delta that to make a big difference, and Carmen Sienna taking the opportunity, because she will still restart in 4th position right behind the diffuser of the 89 car, but we'll have 10 lap fresher tyres than her and 20 lap fresher tyres than our 2 leaders. This is a disaster for everyone else, though, who cannot take a wave around under this caution. We're hoping for the leaders to make that call, but as it stands, Alex Miller has been given the lucky dog. We'll have to start behind all the lap cars, of course, as lucky dog rules do state. But we'll have 5 cars on the lead lap on this restart, and Emily Howe, Ruby Estes, and Bruce Silver will be the ones fighting for that spot. There's a couple more takes down pit road, actually. The lapped traffic. Christina Ryan, Bryce Socia, and Bobby Blowers, it seems like.
I always try to get my questions prepared for the end of the race, but from here on out, all of them could be thrown completely out of the window because I have no idea what's about to happen in these last 20 laps or so.
I don't think they do either. I think that's the terrifying thing for them. It's a bit of a risk you're taking. We have these tyre deltas now. I mean, we saw those 2 were fighting pretty hard, and seem to have pace throughout the entire stint, but Carmen Senna is going to throw a big question mark on this battle for the top 3 on the fresh tyres. But does she have the pace to clear the 2 6K drivers who will be restarting 1 and 2? This is going to be a really interesting final 20 laps here. Just a single car spin throws the entire race up into the air. And the lights are out on the pace car. We'll be restarting with 17 laps to go here in New Hampshire, about 25 kilometers to decide who takes home the checkered flag. Will it be Attribusi? Will it be Farrell? Will it be someone else entirely? You'll only have to wait and see here on ABN 1, because we are about to go racing once again, and it will be frantic from here to the checker, however we end up taking it.
I love short track racing. This is going to be great.
17-lap sprint is going to be, honestly, it's going to go by in a blink. I'll tell you that much. It's a lot of laps when you talk about the number, but with how quick these drivers are, and of course with a relatively new set of rubber, I think everyone's going to be confident and more aggressive than ever, especially if you're on the lead lap. Only 5 drivers up there, but if you're in the zone, you've got a real good shot here at the podium or a win. It's going to be all bets off as Hamilton Akabwezi gets the green flag back on the way with 17 laps to go. Hamilton gets the jump into turns 1 and 2 respectively. Now it's going to be Austin Farr's second, and immediately Carmen Sienna trying to put that pressure down on Lilac Zier. Alex Miller going to be safe to hold on to 5th. Not really much else he can do. There's a caution again. Yellow flags out with big damage in the back. We will once again go under pacing.
Yeah, I was surprised to see Carmen Sienna going really aggressive off the start there, but I was surprised to see she didn't make up much ground through the corner on Lilac Zier there. So was this call perhaps the wrong one to make, or are we going to see that tyre drop-off come in really quickly towards the end of this race for the cars in front?
Contact between Seth Wansing and Alex Martin drawing that caution. Martin getting into the wall a little bit behind the top 4 in the dirt, yeah. Seth Wansing shooting the middle to try and get around inside Emily Howe, but cuts across to try and get back into the outside lane a little bit too quickly. Both cars into the wall, and I think both cars out of this race. This will wave Emily Howe back onto the lead lap as well. Another lucky dog, but there'll be only 10 laps to go, and we'll have to restart at the tail end while Alex Miller will be allowed to join those lead 4. And now would be the time to take tyres, I think, if you're Alex Miller, and try and make a charge the way Carmen Sienna has been trying to do for that half a lap. It was only half a lap, but you saw the aggression already. You saw that she was looking for it from the moment that race went green again.
I saw the aggression, but what I didn't see was the time gain, which just it puts that element of doubt in my mind, because I think these guys might be able to hold on if that's the extent of the pace advantage Carmen's got at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, really, Lilac Zier is their best friend right now, because if Carmen is right on the bumper of these, or the diffuser of these 2 cars with a 20-lap tyre differential, it might be a bit easy to make, but you've got to pass someone with a 10-lap differential first, and that is a much tighter window. Lilac Zier being sure to extend as late as possible, and that's given her the fresher tyres here, to the point where she really didn't need to make that pit stop. Was probably hoping the leaders would, but even so, still running P3, still has Carmen Sienna behind, and it looks like Alex Miller is coming back through the field here, and will head on to the back of Carmen Sienna. We'll have 5 cars running at the front of this pack, plus Emily Howe as our lucky dog, 6 cars on the lead lap as we restart with now probably just 11 laps to go in this race.
Yeah, Carmen's going to be getting an excellent view of the newly remodeled rear crash structure of these Delara IR18s.
The red light's nice. I like it. It's I hope we have some rain to go with it soon. Wouldn't that be something for our season, for our race at Long Beach, maybe?
Give us wet tyres. Send us around this track again on wet tyres. Love to see that.
That sounds about as good an idea as last week was. Yeah, it sure be fun though. And the lights are out on the pace car. 12 laps to go as we go green. Next time by. And for the top four, it's as it was on the previous restart. No real time for anyone to make a huge move. We saw Austin Farr close in a little bit. And we saw that Commentator can get close on those tyres, but getting close and actually making the move are two very different things. And time is running out quickly, especially if we have another caution further back towards the end of this race.
With 12 laps to go, I don't know how likely a caution's going to be, especially with how the rest of this race has turned out. It's getting more exciting than ever here. But I think for the leaders, they just wanted to stay calm for 12 more circuits. Is that too much to ask for? We're going to find out here. Hamilton up in front, Austin Farr still there. Now your entire top five is together, going back to Alex Miller. Emily Howe going to be starting at the back of this full pack, and she'll be in sixth. Green flag out once again. Hamilton gets the jump, but Austin Farr is right behind. Best restart he's had, and an immediate dive low. Now there's a chance to battle for the race lead again. This time, Austin the aggressor.
And we saw a little whittle from Matty Busey there. Couldn't quite get the car stable, and now being forced all the way into the top of the track by Austin Farr. Austin not wanting to leave the inside open there, and a little bit of draft. There's not much draft you'd think in a track this short, but they're not wanting to leave anything to chance. Matty Busey now in the chase, and if we come to 10 laps to go, he's going to have to dive low again. Can he clear? No, Austin Farr will take the slingshot. 10 laps to go, and we have a new leader once again.
Going to be a back and forth battle now, side by side. It's going to be the number 7 looking right behind now, trying to get that lunge low again. The bottom side used for the passes, but now Hamilton goes high. Lilac Zier in the mix as well. Maybe a third driver to look out for. If you're right on board now with Lilac, it's going to be the best view in the house with that number 89 coming through the first two turns, side by side, just ahead. And it's going to be Lilac staying right back there. Austin Farr gets the run off the corner, and once again, takes the lead. It's still going to be multiple lead changes lap after lap. Hamilton not done, nor is Austin Farr. The battle of the juggernauts is going to come down to 8 laps to go and only 8 miles to settle it all.
Yeah, these guys leaving each other exactly the amount of room they need. Austin Farr almost up into the wall on exit there. Lilac Zier, though, doesn't have a clear line to use, so she's not making any gains on these two at the moment. All she needs to do, though, is be patient, because something may happen at the front of the field here.
Here, Cat's driver, they call this the catbird seat, just watching, waiting for an opportunity to pounce, but these two ahead in lockstep currently. Austin Farr, Hamilton Matty Busey, the 52 to the outside, the 7 to the inside, running side by side for multiple laps now. Just sits to go at the line, and there we go. Austin Farr opts for the inside line here, taking a little bit of draft off, and Matty Busey dives once again. They are racing so close, and then anything could happen.
The dance continues once again. Both of those drivers opted for the high side in turns 3 and 4. Both opting for the low side in turns 1 and 2. They are matching each other backwards and forwards so far. Austin Farr taking a wiggle to the inside, just trying to break that draft. Holds that outside line again, but Hamilton Busey goes higher just to conserve those tyres a little bit more and try and keep them alive to the end of the race. But that does give Lilac Zier a little bit of clean air to use on the inside, and she's closed up big time in the last couple of laps.
Alex Miller behind them, past Commentator after a bit of contact a few laps ago, but we're going to focus on the lead battle here. There are 3 laps to go to the line, and it's as close as it has been for the last 50 between these two drivers. Does Matty Busey have any response for Austin Farr, who is looking for his 3rd Champ Car win in the span of, 4 starts?
I don't know if Hamilton's got anything left here. 52 of Austin Farr out in front by 0.4 of a second. It's going to take everything Hamilton has and then some as we come across the line to make it popsicle sticks. 2 laps to go. Farr going to be up ahead and still has the lead. Gap to second, 428 thousandths. You can see now Hamilton ripping it up top and trying to build that momentum here. Maybe going to be a chance to send it deeper in the corners, going way high, and you can see that speed on entry. Just going to try to get the run one more time around. White flag is out. 1 lap remaining. This race is official, and Hamilton closes in, and it's going to be now within 1/10 of a second. Austin Farr going to look all the way up to the top side, maybe going to defend bottom quickly, but Akabwezi with a chance to look down low. Hamilton takes it deep, Austin Farr up high, and it's going to be a drag race down to the start-finish line. Just out of turn 4, Austin Farr gets the win. Back in victory lane, 82 thousandths. Akabwezi oh so close, not enough at the line.
Wow, wow, wow. What a finish. Absolutely nothing between these two drivers the entire race, and nothing between them on the line. Brilliant driving in that final stint from both of those drivers, pushing each other to the absolute limit of the track and of their cars. And they kept it clean. How about that?
You shouldn't be able to leave a commentator speechless, but I don't know what to say about that. That is incredible. Austin Farr taking a well-deserved celebration. Your winner here in New Hampshire. And what a battle with the number 7 that was. What a race.
And what a race it was. I'm surprised the cars are all out of shape from the way they kept it so clean and so close. A battle between, I'd say, the 2 best drivers in the series to this point, and they gave us a fight to remember. Now, it looks like the burnout is over, but we're going to be looking at this one. Of course, top 3 interviews coming up. Stay tuned for that. Here's an overall glimpse at your race results as we wrap up the night here in Loudon. Austin Farr going to come home in first with Hamilton Akabwezi there in second. Lilac Zier going to be third, and it's going to be fourth. Alex Miller. Carmen Sienna going to be position number 5, and it'll be then Emily Howe in sixth with Bruce Silva 7th, Ruby Estes 8th, and Joshua Gaiman in 9th. Zach McBride rounds out the top 10 starting from 22nd.
Bobby Blowers and Christina Ryan coming home 11th and 12th. We've got a lot of these drivers outside the top 10 who were involved in those early incidents, having to take repairs, limp these cars home to the finish, but still good points days recovering from early setbacks. Alex Martin, Seth Wanzin, and Bryce Socio rounding out your top 15 with Sophie Connell in 16th to that spin leading to the late portion cycle of the race. Selena Thompson, Parker Alexander, Emma Kruger, Eli Sassett, Edson Santos, Mo Perry, and Nicholas Pressey, those who could not get going again after the early troubles in this race. That'll round out your 23 starters for tonight's race at New Hampshire.
What a night it was. Only 23 get, of course, to the start-finish line at least once. Tommy Withers registered, not able to race. Top 3 are going to be coming up this time by, and they're going to be coming in for interviews. So let's get a word from the drivers that made this race so exciting. I think first up, we're going to get the number 89 of Lilac Zier, who's going to be, of course, your final driver on the podium. The strategies tonight worked out for 5 drivers in particular. It ended up being a total of 6 on the lead lap. Emily Howe never quite got back up to them, but for Lilac Zier, big opportunity coming with that caution, and as such, the 89 going to be standing by with us right now.
Hello.
Lilac Zier, welcome to the ABN broadcast booth after your first podium of the year. Tell me about how that one feels.
Oh, it's great. Oh man, I've had a rough season. Made some mistakes, got some bad luck of various types. It feels really good.
Only 3 top 10 finishes so far this season, but you make it a podium with a fantastic strategy. I mean, you were forced into that strategy call with early damage in the race, but you made that one work. You have been the queen of alternate strategies all the way throughout this championship so far. So how early did you know that, something might be on here to do something a little bit different?
Not until the first green flag pit stop did I think that would work out. It worked. The strategy was not what I mean, I thought I was trying to hope for caution and just catch people lap down by going longer, but it turned out that when everybody pit, I had clean air on low fuel, which worked out really well. I was able to turn laps, my fastest laps of the race, I think, near the end of a stint, which is not something I expected with tire fall off. And I just, kept going, and when I came out of the pits, I had leaped from like 10th to 5th, and I'm like, whoa, what the heck? So, yeah, it was not how I drew it up, but it worked.
It was a great bit of driving as well. Carmen Sienna did trip up over herself on that final green flag pit stop, but came in for fresh tyres during the second to last caution. But you managed to hold on fantastically. Like, were you doing anything differently? You did only have a small offset on tyres relative to the rest of the field, but you were still able to hold calm enough.
Yeah, I felt like the tires didn't hurt me that much on the end of the run because I was only a little bit of, they were only a little bit older, and track position was so important. It was difficult to pass. It was doable, but you had to really work for it and have like a pretty good pace advantage to be able to pull it off. So I thought if it's near the end of the race, I can maybe hold on. And then the other caution came out, and then I thought, okay, now we're going to have 5th place behind us too. That's going to be extra scary, but maybe they'll fight each other, and that is what happened. But Alex almost caught up at the end anyway, and I'm just like trying to run whatever line I thought would take his air away. And then on the last lap, I was in the high lane with 1 and 2, and I got a little loose, so I thought, well, I better run the low line here no matter what next corner, because that's where I'm more comfortable, and just hope he doesn't rip it around the outside. And luckily, I held him off.
You can't complain. You did make it work. But we've got Richmond next, a very similar sort of track. So can we expect the same sort of result next week?
Oh boy, I hope so. I really like Richmond. Honestly, I didn't expect to do this good here. This track usually gives me problems, and for some reason, I wasn't like struggling as the way I usually do. I usually get loose on the inside and spin out, but I was able to run the low line the whole time today. So Richmond is even better for me. I like Richmond a lot, except for when I lock up the brakes entering the pit lane and crash. So I'll try not to do that this time.
But it's a brilliant result for not only yourself, but Gearcats as well. So if you've got anyone you want to thank, then the floor's yours.
Yeah, I mean, I want to shout out the top 2. They had a great battle to the finish, and to just be even remotely close to them and finish 3rd behind 2 really fast drivers was awesome. Shout out to ABN and all of the broadcasters, and y'all do a great job, and everyone watching, and Gearcast. Emma had a very unfortunate race, and I just hope her luck turns around soon, because she deserves better finishes than that. She's so fast. But yeah, let's keep going out there and doing our best for the team.
Well, congratulations once again, Lilac. Thank you. We appreciate you as well. Thank you very much for your time, and go forward, go.
Go for it, go.
With Lilac 0 on the way, 3rd place driver making up some big moves from 9th to 3rd. Same goes for Hamilton Akabuezi from 11th to 2nd on the day, and a very good chance at the win when everything came down to that final lap. Let's get your 2nd place driver in, standing by. It's the number 7 of Hamilton Akabuezi.
Hamilton, this is Olivia from the ABN booth. Do you want coffee?
Hello.
So close and yet so far. A fantastic battle there with Austin Farr. 30-something laps led, but in the end, it's a hard-fought P2 for Team i5G. Talk us through that race. How was it running in such a tight battle there through a majority of that race and coming into that final caution cycle? What was your game plan?
I mean, throughout the race, like I wasn't after Q, I wasn't sure I was gonna be at all, but because it's so hard to pass, but was able to make it work surprisingly, and yeah, I mean, I had really good speed. Just on the restarts, it's hard because like with Austin at least, like I have to wait for the green in this league, so it's just hard because he can time it exactly when I'm taking the green. So I probably should have defended inside. I didn't think it would work on the restart because like it didn't work on any really much anywhere else. But yeah, just probably should defend the inside. Just hard when you're going on green. Um, yeah, just I'll take P2 though. It's fun.
Yeah, it was a fantastic show, but obviously it took a lot of battling to get us to that point of the race. Talk us through that long green flag run. We saw you make the decision to pit right in front of Austin Farr on the same lap for that. What was expected, but the final pit stops of the race for you two. Were you always planning to cover that off immediately, or were you considering maybe running long to try and extend a stint if you saw him pit behind?
No, I was never gonna run it long. I'd rather just pit in front of him, come out on equal tires. Because if I go like what 5, 10 laps longer, there's a chance he like gets back by me when I come out of the pits, and just didn't want to have to deal with that for sure.
Well, fair enough. And next week on to Richmond, another short track, and I found a very different dynamic, a lot more banking, a lot more room to carry the speed through the corner. Are you looking forward to that race? How do you think the i5G car will be able to perform at a different kind of short track?
Well, I love Richmond. More technical than here, a guy like really be on the brakes a lot, but so it makes it interesting, like really difficult to pass at times. Sometimes you can make the top work, but I won't be able to make it. So yeah, I'll probably run like the rest of the races though after that. So yeah.
Well, a fantastic performance after a win last week, putting on a hell of a show. Trado back to back. It's a P2 finish for you. Congratulations. The floor is yours. With anyone you'd like to shout out, take it away.
Uh I don't know. Shout out to Austin. Like we were racing pretty clean, like a lot of slide jobs and stuff, trying to make it work. But yeah, it was clean racing for sure. Yeah, that was fun. Go follow i5G on Twitter and YouTube, twitch.tv/Brendan Hyperstar.
Absolutely, I can second that one. Well, thank you for joining us. Congratulations on your finish, and hopefully we'll see you at Long Beach.
Yeah. Yeah, Long Beach should be awesome. Always love that track. All right, thank you.
And with Hamilton back on the way, oh so close to 2 consecutive wins tonight, Austin Farr, who already had 2 coming in, going to go through for win number 3. 82 thousandths, that's the difference, and it made such a difference in regards to, of course, the victory. Tonight, Austin, you're back on top, and it was a close battle till the very end. What's it like here with a checkered flag from the Magic Mile?
I really drove my ass off for that one. The yellow definitely bailed me out, but I really gave it 110%, so it feels good to get the highest result out of it.
I saw how big a deal it was between you and Hamilton ever since, of course, when Joshua Gaiman was effectively out of the race, and then we saw the green flag pit cycle. Hamilton caught up big, and you had to defend. Eventually, Hamilton got the lead, and it became all about that pursuit to get back up in front. And then this final 20-lap stint, you were able to get through, put yourself on top, and just barely come to the checkered flag with the win in hand. The battle was multi-groove, made use of just about every inch on the track, and it was as close as it could get without having contact. About the most aggressive battle we saw all night long, and still no incident. What was it like up there knowing, of course, both you drivers, trusted competitors, going for everything on the line at once?
It's good to race wheel to wheel somebody and be able to trust them. I know there were a couple times where you could have probably given me less room and me the same, but throughout the laps, I guess both times we really fought hard. It was great to have it be him because you could really trust him wheel to wheel. So especially on that second battle for the win effectively in those last 20 laps. It was crazy making the bottom work, and then he came back at me on the bottom a couple times, and I didn't run the highest I could have ran, but he also didn't run the lowest I could have ran, but he didn't run the highest he could have ran. So the race was awesome, and props to him for keeping it clean.
And a great clean run all the way till the very end. Now we're in a bit of a short track swing from this point. Next up, it's going to be Richmond Raceway. So what's it going to be like taking on our second short oval? Of course, going to be even shorter than this one as you perhaps go for win number 4 in the campaign.
It's one of those things I'm just going to have to wait and see. This race I really struggled with my roll bar settings and my weight jacker. Maybe I'll practice a little bit more beforehand to kind of get a feel for what those changes do balance wise, because after that first stint I was really kind of on an island. I couldn't close the gap back after he'd passed me, so maybe I'll have to work a little bit harder when it comes to making those in-car adjustments.
With that being said, a proven track record of success and another win tonight. Austin Farr, if there's anyone else you'd like to shout out, make sure to let us know.
Yeah, everybody at Lead Paw Racing, everyone who runs this league, admins, everything is awesome. Everyone for watching, and you guys for calling the race.
Just like that, Austin Farr, win number 3 in the campaign, and a victory here in Loudon, New Hampshire. We thank you for your time.
Thanks, y'all.
With Austin on the way, we've spoken now to all of our top 3, and what a race it was here in New Hampshire through all the ups and downs, exciting racing, and we're up next going to the action track itself in Richmond Raceway, continuing our short track streak. So what's it going to be like? Well, of course, predicting with our final thoughts of the night before we move on to another circuit up north.
Well, I get to be smud again for the second time this season because this is the track that I took my first Champ Car win on coming up. A big fuel save race that was, so we could see similar dynamics there maybe, but it's such a strong field. I'm expecting a lot of action. Similar racing, but very different in that you've got to look after that right front, but that banking lets you carry a lot more speed, and there's a lot more in the way of using the pedals to get the car rotated, I think there. So we're going to see that there's still the drivers on show once again, and hopefully another barnstorm of a finish like we had here in New Hampshire.
I get to be a little bit smug now as well, because my pick, is it too early to call myself the queen of the picks already?
Well, I'm
no.
not competing for that title, so I guess you can have it.
I'll take it so far. But yeah, I'm always going to endlessly hype up this sort of racing. There's nothing better than a bit of tyre strategy where drivers can use all the different lines on the track, whether it's high, middle, low, or super low, and look at the sort of racing we had tonight. Obviously, the cautions helped keep the drama high and keep all of the fights close end to end. And then there was the late race pit call from Carmen Sienna that promised to be exciting, but obviously didn't amount to much in the end. There was a late wildcard addition to the fight with Alex Miller getting waved around, which, although he did gain a position off that, didn't add much to the lead fight. But we didn't need it to, because nothing can top the fight that we had at the front of the field tonight. It was fair, clean, respectful between two titans of Dallara IR18 community racing. And I didn't want to be anywhere else but in this booth watching that tonight. I'm really hoping the similar sort of track at Richmond gives us exactly the same thing, with that little bit of banking again that you can use. That front right tyre is going to burn off again. Olivia alluding to a touch of maybe fuel strategy. But if we get anything close to what we saw tonight, it's going to be an absolute barnstormer.
And we can't wait, of course, to see what's next on the campaign. Tonight in New Hampshire, the racing did not disappoint. Thank y'all for watching our presentation here from the Virtual Magic Mile. It's been the New Hampshire 140, and the Champ Car World Series continues its exciting return in 2024. If you haven't already, make sure to leave a follow on the ABN Esports Twitch. We'd love to have you return next Wednesday as we head to the virtual Richmond Raceway. I've been David Kreutz alongside Olivia Hayward and Taylor Mills, and we thank thank you all for your support in tonight's event, and we hope to see you next Wednesday as we return at Richmond. Thank you all for your support, and we hope you have a fantastic night.